What's going on, everyone? My name is Kevin Johnson, and I wanted to share my story on how I got into software engineering or the tech industry as a coder programmer. And I've been in it for about 3 months, so I'm not like some super dev pro dude. Even though my name on Twitter is Kev Pro Dev, I'm speaking that into existence, but I want to let people know that I was just in your shoes 3 months ago before I got this job. That how my experience was getting into tech with no degree, no experience, none of that. I wasn't even in a job that was even remotely close to tech and coding. So I want to just like dive into this thing and like really get into this thing and show you guys like um, this is definitely like possible. Okay. I've seen videos on YouTube. I've seen videos on social media where people have said they got into tech in like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, no degree, no, whatever it was, right? But I'm like, I was trying to get into tech and I wasn't having that same experience. So as I got more education now, today, like this past year, I started learning that everyone doesn't do that. That's a miracle, right? That's like a unicorn type situation. The common thing is it takes longer than 3 to 6 months, 9 months. It takes like a year to kind of get into tech, especially when you don't have experience. Now, mind you, if you maybe came out of college, probably had an intern and stuff like that, that will probably play highly in your favor on you getting a job. But for me, I'm like, where are all the people like me, the people that have worked, hard jobs and stuff like that? You're looking for a switch in your career. You've been doing them type of jobs for as long as you can remember, and you finally just want to switch it up, right? You really want to get a job that you can be able to make, more money. You'll be able to have more time, a job that will be able to value you more, just all around, just a whole lot better, right? So I started this journey about 3 to 4 years ago. Now, before you say, like, man, it took you 4 years, like, oh, no, I'm not being a developer. Like, hold on, let me tell you. 3, 4 years ago, I tried to start coding. I quit it. I did it for like, I don't know, I think it was like 3 to 6 months, and I stopped. I had my first child, my only child to this day so far, and I had stopped coding, and I kind of felt bad. So I really wanted to pick it up, but life was just, life was life. Life just kept popping up and doing. I had to do stuff. I already worked a job that I've been on for like 7 years. So I was kind of getting tired of this job. I've been in the same position. It's kind of like a dead end job. They pay pretty good, and that's what keeps you. That's what kind of locks you in is the pay. Like it's not like you getting tremendous pay, but it was one of those jobs where you had a little decent amount of pay, and then they paid you a lot of overtime. Like you can get a lot of overtime if you want it, right? So those jobs will kind of lock you in before you realize that you kind of gave your whole life away 20 or 30 years ago back quick, and you'll be pretty much stuck in that field and there will be nowhere else to go because you spent most of your life in that job. So enough with the dark alley setback. I start going into tech. I start learning how to code again because I was like, I did this first time. My daughter's going around, she's 2, going on 3. I'm like, I'm kind of used to having a kid now. I know what comes along with being a father and a husband. So I'm like, what? Let me get back into this tech thing and figure this tech thing out. I get back into tech. I start coding again, start breaking it down, learning. I start picking up like the old stuff that I did know. I only knew a couple things. Like I knew HTML, CSS, a little bit of JavaScript, and I had like some little quirky little projects. I really wasn't even too much heavy into coding like that the first time. The second time I got back into coding, I started picking up really handling JavaScript hard because I went from a different approach. I started putting in 2 to 4 hours every day working on my own project. Only when I got my job into tech, I only had one project. I didn't have no other project. I only had one project. And then I don't have no degree or no experience. So this is why I'm here to tell you that it is possible. Like this is possible. Trust me. Right. So I go into this and I got this one project And the project wasn't even revolutionary. I'm not building the next Facebook or Airbnb type junk. Like I had like just a little. It was a unique project, a different thing, but for the most part, to build this project, you needed to know how JavaScript worked. You needed to know how to pull in different third-party frameworks and stuff for like authentication for users. So I had a lot of things in my project that exemplified that I knew what I was doing in coding and in programming, right? So with this job, well, not with this job, but with this project, I was learning a lot of stuff that will be valuable on a job. So, and that was my idea. That was my idea when I got into this project. Was like I'm gonna treat this project like it's a real thing, like I'm trying to build a real project. So every time when I got stuck, I had to figure it out myself. And I had to bump my head 1,000 times and figure out why stuff went wrong. I would research stuff. I would look at people's tutorials just to figure out one little piece. Because I've noticed like certain tutorials on certain subjects will explain stuff better. They were more savvy at this type of thing more than others. So I will take certain stuff from different tutorials that I needed to make my own sort of say like Frankenstein project. So when I did that, that allowed me to really level up my skills because I was learning different things that you needed in being a front end developer. Now, as I'm doing this, I knew in the back of my head I didn't want to just rely on code. Okay, I didn't want to rely on code, and the reason why I didn't want to rely on code because I knew that was how I thought last time, and I know that's how a lot of developers or people self-taught developers think when they get into this field. It's like they just try to rely on the code. I'm gonna be the best coder out there. I'm gonna revolutionize the way. I'm gonna be so good that they can't ignore me. Type of feel. I had that mentality the first time. This second time, I say, you know what? I'm going to be more of like a diversified investor, right? Somebody that's going to be able to put his eggs in different baskets, and all these are going to add up to something. So I started getting into basically Twitter. I kind of like brung my Twitter back up. I wasn't on Twitter at all. I had a Twitter account when it first came out, and that was it. So I went back into Twitter, brung it back up, redid my page, got my page back right. And I start finding other people in the tech space. Like I start connecting with them. This is around the time when we had the old vid going on, the little, the coffin thing going on. I don't want to say it, but we had that going on. And a lot of people was on places where you can talk, right? And Twitter had Twitter Spaces. They had Clubhouse at the time, and Clubhouse was really popping. And we was kind of getting up out of the little coffin thing, virus thing going on, right? It was getting out of the little sickness era, and people was coming outside, but people were still on Clubhouse. But now Twitter had Twitter Spaces that was like Clubhouse. So a lot of people, I didn't know at the time that a lot of people in tech was on Twitter. So when they open up Twitter Spaces, now not only do you are able to post, you're able to talk to people. So I started going on to these Twitter Spaces weekly, every other day. Any Twitter space that I found that was like a small group of people, I would really go into those because I knew some of the ones that was like huge, like 100+ people. Chances are I'm not going to be able to talk. Chances are no one's even going to be able to see me. So I wanted to really get used to talking to other people that was in my shoes and also people that were not in my shoes that had jobs, and kind of get a feel in a story or a backlog of like how it is to be a developer from somebody real time. I can talk to you and you can talk back to me. So I felt Twitter Spaces was really monumental for my outcome of getting into tech. So I started doing that every week. So I was putting in 2 to 4 hours of coding every day, a minimum of 2. Some days I would go 4, but minimum of 2 for sure. And then I would get into Twitter Spaces. And Twitter Spaces honestly was really fun. I would be on those things for like hours on end. Anybody that been on Twitter Spaces when we had the little virus thing, you can be on Twitter for a long time. People used to be walking on Twitter, driving on Twitter. Like it was a whole thing, right? So I was on Twitter Spaces, and I was meeting people that were in tech, and they were talking about problems and uh, things that they were dealing with and stuff. So it gave me a real realization of how this was going to be. And I was able to talk too because these groups were small. And by them being so small, we were able to, have conversations. And in these conversations, I would talk about stuff that I was dealing with my project. And a couple people will reach out and shed light on some things. And one of the people that played a major role, two people, but one person in particular that gave me like the self assurance to say, hey, you're on the right path. I know it may seem lonely, but I can tell that you're going to make it in this industry because of the level of questions you're asking. And I got to shout out to him. I shared a lot of love for him. If you follow on my Twitter, you'll definitely know it's T3. It's Theo. Anybody that know Theo, you can easily look him up on Twitter, T3, or Theo on YouTube. You can easily find him. Shout out to his company, Ping. But he really helped me. I was a newbie. Theo is like a legend to me. And he was letting me know from 1,000-foot view up in coding, like, don't worry, this supposed to happen. You supposed to, you're gonna run into certain stuff and you're gonna have to figure it out. You're gonna have to decide the importance of how you're building your stack, what decisions to make. So it was really helpful talking to him in real time. Like, it wasn't no YouTube video. It wasn't like some course you take or tutorial. I was talking to him, he was talking back. And he was doing this which was crazy. He was streaming on Twitch and he was having a Twitter space at the same time. So you can visually see him reacting to you and you can hear him on Twitter Spaces. It was the most craziest thing at the time. But Theo was like helping me as far as reassurance, saying, hey, all this work you're putting in is going to pay off. Trust me. Okay. So I also was networking with other people on Twitter Spaces, and we will share our stories. We'll share our backgrounds on where we came from and where we're trying to go in this tech space, and how many jobs people applied for and what they're looking for and what they're trying to get. And this will happen on a weekly basis. So I got into a rhythm of working my day job, coming home for 2 to 4 hours, coding, and in between them times of going to bed, I would try to get on Twitter Spaces and do some little networking. I would do that for about 6 to maybe 8 months until opportunity popped up. Someone messaged me. I got a couple of them, actually. A couple people reached out and was like, hey, if you're looking for a job, because they would hear my stories in the Twitter Spaces and we will be talking about, and me being a self-taught developer and no experience. So people would literally like DM me on the side that I would not even know. Like, I've never seen them in a day of my life, and they will offer me positions like at jobs. Like, I've gotten a couple jobs at a couple big companies, like job opportunities. But I did get one opportunity, which was a job that I'm working for now. And this job, oh my God, getting this job is a story in itself. So I'm gonna make that in another video. But basically, without me having that tech project that I was doing on the side and not me networking, I would have never be able to. I would not be standing. I wouldn't stand in here. I would not be able to be sitting here in front of you telling you that I'm a software engineer. Because of networking on social media, I was able to get an interview. I went to about 3 to 4 different interviews at this company, went through it. They liked me. In those interviews, all the work that I was doing every day for 2 hours showed up instantly. As soon as I had to take the test, it was all the work I was doing finally paid off. So I want to like motivate people that are not, degree, 4-year degree, or you don't have the typical like background to get into tech. It is still possible. This is really possible. I'm like, from someone on the street, they'll look at me and be like, there's no way in the world you should be in the tech. Like, there's nothing in you that connects to tech that the world has shown. So it's crazy, man. Like, now I'm into this thing 3 months plus, and I even got a job that's remote. Like I don't even go to work. Like I go to work, but I don't leave and catch a bus, catch a train, drive. You know, I got the luxury of being a software engineer um, at the comfort of my home, and great pay, great benefits, a lot of potential, and I can't say anything else, right? I'm just speechless, and I'm trying to tell you guys that it is possible. I thought the same thing, but it didn't take me 3 months. It didn't take me 6 months. I'm just now finally doing this thing for real, and it's been about a solid year, right? Now, some people may say even that is early, but everybody's path is different. You don't really know your path, your time. You don't know your time, right? Can't nobody foresee their time. You just got to put the work in. And I look at coding as like working out, man. You stop looking at when it's gonna happen. You're just gonna look up one day, and next thing you know, you're gonna have muscles. Next thing you know, that weight is gonna be off of you. It don't happen right away. You got to keep going with this thing. So I just want to put that video out and let people know that this is possible. I come from a chemical factory construction background, working at a job for like 10 years. Imagine working at a job for 10 years, the same job, 10 years, every time and every day. But next thing you know, you work from working on your back, working with your back, to now working with your head. So it's like, I'm telling you, it's possible. It's a game changer. But you gotta be focused. You gotta be focused. I don't know how many times I had to I had to get used to the word no. I had to tell people no in life for a long time and tell them like, I can't go out, I can't go do this, I can't, and no was two of the most popular words. I couldn't do it. People used to call me, what you doing? What you doing? Coding? I'm like, they used to make little jokes. But, you know, someone was them my friends. So I don't take none of that seriously. They don't take none of it seriously. But at the same time, it's like, it is true. I'm coding because I want to make a better life for myself. And I'm pretty sure you do too. So I just want to let you know, like, it's going to come at a sacrifice. It got to come at a cost. You got to put some stuff in your life away. You got to leave it alone and be able to pick this up and really focus and get into this. And you will be able to get this job in tech with no experience, no prior experience or no degree. You'll be able to make it happen because all your work will show for it. So just want to get that motivation and tell everybody, man, keep your head up, keep going. You can do this. I just wanted to give a status update and let people know my story and go from there.